So you were working on this camera, and you're running into some of the issues, right? Um, I guess you were trying to like bevel this, right? And it's like it's breaking because the geometry is like not even. Looking at the reference, oops, sorry. When I look at the reference, like it looks like this portion is actually like very round around the edges, and even in the actual picture. Let me see if I can pull the picture up. Now you see this portion right here. On the actual camera, this is like nice and round. So maybe we can actually like just go that route. And I was thinking like instead of having all this information right now, we can like get rid of it. So let me just like see if I can clean this up a bit. And obviously this is gonna weld all these points.
Yeah, the problem was that I was only looking at the front shot and the
Right.
back shot, so it looks straight. And then
Oh, I see, I see.
when you look at it from the top,
Right.
you see different.
Yeah, so let me just delete some of this stuff because we won't need it, at least right now we won't need it at all. And then I'm just going to like merge this. You can go right here into weld and hit OK. Well, if you right click while you're holding the points, you can see all the options here. Break, connect, extrude, weld. So I'm going to delete this bottom part. Try weld again. It's like having trouble welding some of this stuff. If you hit Control backspace, it's going to try to get rid of the points. Obviously these points. So this is what's happening here. There's like extra points here with the extra. So it's not going to just like, you just have to actually manually hit delete. Let's see. So there's more extra points here. And if I go into the edges, you should be able to get rid of it. And then you can take this point, target weld, click on the first one, the last one, and it's going to merge them.
Okay, that's something.
And then, like I usually like click on the point like this, not like this, because that's going to select everything, but individually click on the point and see if that's the only point. It looks like it is. So let me go back into the top view. Let me just align this more towards the edge. Same thing with this. So in actual, like, because remember this is very smooth surface, so it might be better to start working towards subdivision modeling, just because it's nice and round and it's actually easier. Like you saw how many like little polygons you have on the bevel, like on the corners. It was a lot of stuff, so it's quite hard to like manipulate that when you just doing regular modeling. But if you go into subdivision, you're gonna have much more control over those things. So if I subdivide this right now, actually let me just clean this up, this last thing up, unless this is like, is this separate from each other? Okay, that's separate, that's fine. Okay, so if I subdivide this right now, let me create a new editable poly and mesh subdivision, which is the modifier for smooth model. So if I subdivide this, I'm already getting like an okay roundness, right? If I do it more in the iterations, it's gonna get like that. It's very strong right now. I don't think our camera is like that curve. So I'm going to turn this off real quick, and I'm going to add a line here towards the edge. if you click on the little square when you hit connect, you have the ability to see where you want the line to be based on the last number. So I'm gonna hit it close to the edge but not too close, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Connect. So now if I subdivide this, notice how the roundness is like, it gets smaller because there's some the edges actually work as a constraining. You know, rather than being without those edges on the edges, it has the liberty to actually do bigger roundness. But when you have those lines there, not so much. So if you look at the way this is being handled, if I push towards it, it gets sharper and sharper. So let me just select this one, push it away from it, right? And let's look at the reference real quick. If we look at this reference right here, it looks like it's pretty round actually, for the most part. And then if we look at the actual camera, we only see in this part. This is the part that we're looking at. It's pretty round. It has two divisions, one for the body that has this nice texture at the bottom, and then you see this line right here. It goes all the way, and it's pretty like, it's the same elevation all the way across. So we can actually do that. It'd be nice to do this right now, actually, to close the gap for the top, right? So I'm going to do that real quick. So I already have that. All I need to do is hit this edge, right? Push it over. Actually, let's just do the whole thing. Only the front part. I'm gonna push it over so it meets the first what do you call it? The first loop, because we need to weld this to each other. So I'm gonna hit it so it meets the first loop. I'm going to weld it. Only the end points, because those are the ones that actually connect. And then I'm going to do it again. Only the top part. Same thing. If you don't want to move, the thing is, when you do this, when you do weld, they both move closer to each other. But if you want to connect this point towards the other point, just do target weld. Same thing here. Oops. Push it over. Oop. What happened? Click on the point. Target weld. And I'm going to go to the top view and make sure everything is aligned. Make sure this is aligned. Okay, so we have this right now. But we have the ability to do mesh subdivision, right? And this is the way it's breaking right now. Our mesh is breaking like this, right? Let me get rid of this piece right here. We don't really need it right now. I hit detach to completely get it out of the family. So we have this, right? The thing is, like, we need, based on this, the roundness on the top doesn't need to be this strong. You see how it bends down, but it's actually sharper towards the edge. So all we can do is go into wireframe, select this whole top part, hit connect, and move our point closer to the edge. And if we activate mesh subdivision, you see how it gets like sharper and sharper? That's the sort of roundness that we're looking for right now. You see that? Nice and round. And this might be too square. So what you can do is to bring this out a bit. So I'm going to push this closer to the edge, to the front part, and bring it out just slightly. So you get some more of that roundness. Maybe push it away some. and then we can actually well, this looks like it's really close. Okay, so that's actually quite close to the edge. So I'm gonna push it down. Let me see. That doesn't look too bad. Let's see what else we need. We need to break the top. So if you look at the reference, there's that top part, right? And then there is another part that is a separate material or separate piece that gets attached to the camera as a piece. So I'm going to just by eye go in here, create a new connect tool or line, and then take it almost towards the point where if I had like the actual blueprints right now going, I'll probably say it's this high. Take it there and then take another line, hit it as close as you can from the previous one. Go in between these two lines I'm going to polygon mode or faces, select them and just hit delete. So what's going to happen now is if I subdivide, there's going to be a division now. It's a little too far from each other right now. So I'm going to go back in here, bring it down, and then I'm going to extrude within. So if you go to the scale tool right here, you know the like moving, rotating scale. If you hold shift, it's going to create new geometry only on edges though. You see these are edges right now. When you scale down, it won't be uniform, but it's going to create this inset. I'm gonna get out of this mode right now because it's kind of like bending things and it's quite confusing. So this is what it does. I need to go back in and clean it up a bit. So if I go back in, I'm going to make sure that these points are more equally distributed. So I'm trying to align it with the previous mesh. This I'm going to push in. This is like from the previous one. Push this in more. So, and the thing not to forget is I'm going to break this out of the main body now because they're not really together. So it's easier for me to model and to see some of this detail down here. So I'm going to just like hit detach again. Now they're both different things, different pieces from each other. And I can isolate it again. So if I'm like right here, I think I need to go up a bit more, right? No, that's fine. We can fix that. I'm going to get rid of this piece for now, and then go back. I'm going to create a new layer. Where's the layers at? You see right here, we have layers. We can create a new layer, assign it top, like body, Nikon. If you hit OK, whatever is being selected right now is going to go into that edge. You have the ability to hide it. You see this little bit of this little bubble or like light bulb thing. You can hide that so it doesn't like interfere with what you're working on. All I'm going to do is take this whole thing up because obviously we replace it, and then take the original body, make sure you're in edit polygon, take it all the way up. So now when I subdivide this, and then I need to apply subdivision mode to this, they're both subdivided. Let me just do something for shading. Okay, there you go. So let's see. It looks like the bottom needs some additional connect line because you see how it's bending as opposed to the top. It's bending a little slightly different because it doesn't have that support at the bottom. So you can easily just go back in here, isolate this by pressing this or Control or Alt Q, I'm going to create an additional line at the bottom, bring it down. Now when I mesh smooth, you're going to be able to see that both of them are at the same level. We had to do the same thing for the bottom. The cool thing is that since they were both part of one family, they have the same geometry, complex formation. So if whatever I do to this bottom, if I don't move the points to the side or something like that, they're going to have the same sort of body because they come from the same, they were part of the same build up at the beginning, and all I did was just detach one from the other. So if I go like this, I just want to see what's going on here because it was like bending. So I'm going to isolate both of this. I'm going to go into edit poly. I'm going to do the same thing I did before, in which I'm going to push this down. If you hold shift, click and drag while being on edges, move it closer towards this edge, target well, there you go. And you can always like align it later on if like this isn't straight or anything like that. You see how this is like a little bend, you can always align it from the top view later. Target well, so let me just align, make sure that the size is aligned correctly. I believe this is the front. I'm going to take these points and align them like this. Take these other ones and align it. Same thing with this. And let's bring everything back. Let's hit mesh smooth. We're having some bending just like the last time, right? It's like bending too much. So I'm going to add a connecting loop here. Hit connect here, actually just a little square, so we can choose how far we want it to go down. 83. It's just like a relative number between this point and this point. Let's check our mesh smooth, and let's do 4 iterations. That's too much. Let's just do 2. That's that. It still feels like it's too bent too much. I'm just going to push it really quick up. Make sure everything's selected. We can always fix the sharpness on the edge later, and I'll show you how. Don't that weird. The 2 rules that you should remember always is never push it so much that it's overlapping the other geometry. We never do that. This doesn't feel bad at all. It feels relatively. The one thing I'm noticing is like this should be a little bit more rounded based on the reference. Like maybe this needs to come out more so it's actually nice and round there on the edges. A quick thing I'm going to do, just to make sure both of them are being moved evenly, I'm going to get rid of the mesh smooth for now on both meshes, and then I'm going to attach them together. So if I hit attach right now, I'm selecting the bottom part, I hit attach, select the top. Now they're both part of the same family, right? If I hit the points, I can actually select both of them at the same time. The reason I'm doing this is because I want them to be evenly moved. I don't want them to move separately because that whole section is unified. So what I'm going to do is, let me fix this real quick. I'm going to push this out more. Maybe even push these lines inwards more. And make sure this is like, maybe push this in more. You can even do this towards, like that. Let's throw a mesh smooth on top of this. Let's see how it reacts. I feel like it's rounder. Let's see. If we compare this and we start looking at the reference, it feels much better. Maybe I can get rid of one line actually. Let's see what happens when I do that. It becomes like smoother. So I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. You see that? And maybe I should push this in more. If I go to mesh smooth, this looks a little bit jaggy. If I increase it a lot, notice how it gets like really nice and smooth. So this feels a lot better already. And let's compare it to the I think this edge needs to be less sharp, so I can fix that really quick. F4 to see my lines again. Select this whole thing by double clicking, bring it down more, mesh smooth, F4 to get rid of the wireframe, maybe a little more. Too much, maybe. Okay. So this feels very smooth, very nice. Let's see. Let's start working on towards some of this detailing in here. And you can actually apply the same technique to get the top part too. This roundness on the edge is very important. Let me see if I can look at the blueprint. And if I can see those details in here, obviously they are here. And you can even compare, you see how round this is? Oh, is it this side? No, it's this side, I'm sorry. And some of this detail in here that the base body has this. And you can actually see the body through. And let me just check the picture again. You see this right here? This is actually an edge that bends like this and then it goes to the back. So it's like a little thick piece that's in the body. And then you see some of this detailing. I guess the out of focus tools and the F frame tools. The F3 here. Well, actually, we're looking at the wrong side. This is the right side, my bad. And it does have the same detailing. So let's look at this piece right here, really quick. This is a simple piece. Let's just focus on this side for now because like that's the side we're working on the most. To recreate that little piece, and I'll point it out again. This right here, or yep, it's the only side that has it. We can go to the front view. I'm going to like break max to one little window just so we can see both detailing at the same time. Okay, I'm going to go into my primitive box, which is the plus. We had to break things down to simple shapes at the beginning. So what's this closest shape that we can build this from? Probably a cylinder, right? And then we can just insert it down. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best way to do it. So just by looking at it, just by eye, I'm guessing it's going to be right in between these two pieces, right? So, oops, it's tell me I'm creating something on the hidden layer, which I don't want to do. Just like go here and select a different layer. Anyway, we go in here, cylinder up. We select the radius first, and then when we let go, you select the depth. You hit W, and then you can look at it. It's going to be created on the uh, somewhere in the axis, so we just push it forward. The sizing feels pretty relative, okay. Two problems we have a lot of loops, so when you go back to your modifier list, just make sure that the height segments is set to 0 so you have more control over things. Obviously I need to attach this closer to the body. That seems correct, somewhere around here. I'm going to add more size to it so it's smoother when we subdivide. Two things we need to do is go into edit poly, select the faces for the front, push it inwards, and then we need to bevel this side because this is the side that we're going to be seeing for the most part. I'm not going to bevel the other side for now. I'm just going to let it be. We can always mirror at the end. Bevel inside inset. And right now I'm defining the thickness of this little piece right here. Not the inside, but just the little piece right there. I'm going to hit OK. If I need to modify a little bit more, just hit R for scale. Make sure it's the first one. And then from there, I'm going to inset one more. But rather than giving it too much a bigger inset, I need to push this in more, like that. And then what I'm going to do is do another inset. This time, oops, sorry, just like that. I'm going to mesh smooth this just to see what I get and how this is reacting to it. I'm going to save real quick before this crashes. So right off the bat, we see the shapes are being bent almost towards what we want. A few things that we need are this middle part right here to be pushed inwards more. So I'm just going to go back into edit poly, get off this division. So notice that we're already in. What I'm going to do is just create a new line here. If you click here, you hold shift, and once you see the yellow, you hit click. I'm going to hit connect towards the bottom a little bit more, and then mesh smooth. We see what happens. We might want to push it like that more. It feels a little boxy right now, so what you can do is push it outwards. Take this portion, push it out more. Okay, we see that. We can also create a new loop. Let me see. I'm debating whether or not let's use chamfer here. Let's just try chamfer real quick. Chamfer is going to give you like that nice roundness that we talked about last time, or just two lines next to each other. Let's see how that works for now. So chamfer does this. You can either push it down more, and then take the bottom part and push it inwards. So you get like, now you have a supporting edge here, which we got from the chamfer for the corner of it. Like that's the highest point where it's going to be inset on that part. And then the bottom part, we're going to just push it inwards. So we get that nice effect of the roundness like this, that it's going in. Because the reason this is going to matter is when you set up lights, that side won't receive the light, and it's going to create shadows. That's why it is so important. You can push it down more so you give more like breathing space. Like that. And I might need to push this out more, the whole thing. Okay. This is looking a little weird, and I think I know why. So it looks like when I did bevel, I did it backwards. So I just select the whole thing, delete it, and then let's chamfer again. Sorry, we need to create new geometry. So hold shift and scale, shift and scale again, and get out of this mode. Mesh smooth. We got that, but we also have a little piece that's coming out of there. Not quite. I think it's like a screwing little piece. So what I'm going to do from there is get out of the mode, select this whole row, if you hold shift click while in polygon mode, it's going to do this, and if you let go, it's going to ask you whether you want it to be a copy within that element or a new object. I'm going to just go ahead and make a new object, and then you gotta get out of this mode, click on this. So the only reason I did this is to create this little piece right here. Notice that? So this piece is obviously smaller, so I'm gonna scale it down. I'm just going to move my pivot towards the middle of this piece. If you hit F pivot only, center it, it goes back into it, and then you get out of the mode. Make this smaller. We gotta push the inside out. You can quickly select this whole thing by going to borders. Borders selects anything that doesn't have any other geometry within, so you can push it out. Take this piece right here, Control Shift, push in, right? Then I'm going to select this whole edge, hit connect, and then move it like this outwards. So now if I start, if I hit mesh smooth, it's going to start creating that piece. It feels like it's too small, so I'm just going to make it bigger. I'm going to apply mesh smooth to this right off the bat. This needs to be way bigger, like that. Or smaller, actually, not that. It needs to come out more. Actually, this whole piece needs to come out more. It needs to have a bigger, this middle section needs to be inwards more. And actually, I think this is a hole. So you might need to recreate that in here. Cut a hole inside this, which is another process. So I'm just going to just to keep things simple, I'm going to just go like this. We need to push this middle part inside. Again, if you hit borders, shift click, push, you can do this, you can do that, and then you can hit cap to seal it. If I hit show end result, it's actually going to show me what this looks like with as an end result. Couple things that we see, this is very smooth on the edges. If I hit F4, we need a little bit more. If you look at you can even see the way the light is hitting those edges. It's very strong edges, just like we see right here when it catches the light. So I'm going to just quickly use a chamfer here. Actually, that's too much. And all I'm doing is just recreating some of the light stuff. Okay. So let's go back like this. There is a little bit inset here. I'm going to chamfer this, and then all I'm going to do is do another one, do another geometry in here. Oops. Come on, Max. Come on. It's not letting me do an edge loop. Let's see if we can select loop. Okay, let's just do this chamfer. Okay, I'm going to select this, push it inside like this, notice. And then when I mesh smooth, you can see some of that right there. This needs to be inwards more and come out. Something like this. So Max is acting a little weird. All I did was create a new line here and just push it inwards just to get some of this right here. It's kind of difficult to see right now, but it looks like there's an inset, and then sort of like this thing right here is like almost overlapping this, something like that, but it needs some roundness too. I mean, like that. It looks something like this. It's quite hard to see, but let's just go with this for now. By the way, this is going to show on your render when you render, because cap is not actually an actual quad. It's like it's a what do you call it? Like right now, the points are being stretched, and it's not like everything is connected by four sides. So I think you can actually do another bevel. You can go inwards like this, and then you can hit collapse, and it merges everything into a point. Or you can manually go in and attach everything and make it into a quad, but I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it. It's relatively small, to be honest with you. Like I said, this might be the effect will probably look better if you have like an inset inside here. So if you actually make you should be able to create a hole here, because you see like there's a bigger gap in here, so this definitely is a hole. But we have this right here and right here, slightly bigger. You can actually if you were to do this line right here, my best recommendation would be to go into edit poly. Let me see. If we go in here, you can actually create a line that is using a polygon, and you can turn that line into anything. So if you want flexibility, so you can actually create a shape, a smooth shape out of that line. Hit OK. Notice how this line right here, right? Let me just hit subdivision on this, and then let me select the line. You can turn this line into anything, really. So if you go into to the modifier and hit sweep, SWEEP, you have a few options. you can make that line into a cylinder, and then you can mess with the radius. See that? And you can actually edit the line too. So let's say this is your line right now. You can select this like this. You can oops. You can shift it like that. I think the radius is too big actually. You can scale this curvature down a bit. You can do that. You can also create additional points within the line. And actually, never mind, but just make it bigger. And then just push it down if you want to. And then let's just bring everything up. This needs to come out more. And this actually might be cut in here, or just go inside more. So if that's the line, then that means that this needs to come out, or this needs to be, this line, this thing needs to be cut at one point. This definitely needs to be like that. Something like that. And if you hit F4, notice how it's like starting to look like smoother, rounder, and then from that point forward, you can start. Let's say I want to see how bulky this is going to get. You can easily. I mean, obviously, we need to push these points inwards more. A quick cylinder again. From view, move it up. Sort of like getting. I mean, scaling is probably the biggest thing when you're working. And then I'm going to create a new one. Copy. So you sort of see what it's going to look like. This needs to be, guessing closer. Something like that, right? So I mean, that's why like blocking things down is so important, because you can start seeing the scale of things, and you can actually, based from this, just like when you're drawing, if you were to take like a drawing class, you start putting things relative to each other. So if this is so let's say this is my thing. This is how big this is in proportion to this body right here. And then if we look at the top view, notice how big this is within the body. So when you start looking at this and you notice how big this is, that means that this body actually needs to be cut around here. And this, like for example, if I see that, like if I like this roundness here and I want to put it on this side too, you can easily do a symmetry. So rather than remodeling the whole thing again, you can just go in here, do symmetry, and set it on the, what is it? Not the Z, but definitely the Z axis, right? And then go like this. You're only welding a very small point. If we go into mesh smooth, it's going to do that. And then if I set up an edit poly after that, you can push this out more. Right? And we can start comparing how things are. So you see this case right here, this body, the light. how actually big it is, and then in relationship to some of this detail, I can already see that this body needs to be like shrink down more. So I can go like this, and it definitely needs to come out more too. Or just the proportions in general, this needs to go like in. The shape itself is more oval, like that. You see it? You see it? Um, let's see. That's better actually. That means that some of this detail needs to go inwards more. And then you can rearrange it, and so it does that, and you gotta leave the space for this information right here, or just push this out more. That also means that this, what we did right here, needs to be attached more towards it. You can also do the same process that I did before, in which you can do symmetry to it. You can cut, oh, you don't want to cut that. You can do this, symmetry. And then you see how this is happening. Just go into symmetry, mirror, push it out. If you see nothing is happening, that means that it needs to be flipped. Or not. Oops, sorry, I put this in the wrong place. This needs to go first. On the z-axis, we need to flip it. There we go. It needs to be pushed outwards more. So if this is the case, obviously this might need to be like up on this side. I don't know. But this is the sort of stuff that we start like getting into. Blocking is very important, because once you have the blocking, you can start like pushing things out or pushing things inwards. From this diagram, I can tell that this needs to be more wider, and that's the reason it's looking shorter, because it's just wider. If you have this block down right here, you can push this inwards more, so it matches this. And notice the shape right here. You see how this is like goes like this, goes in, and then goes like that, almost like like this. That sort of stuff you definitely want to start looking forward. And then from that point forward, you can start rearranging things based on where they are and that sort of stuff. So yeah, cool.